Armata!
Russian troops continued their offensive on the town of Bakhmut in the Donbass, which they had been trying to take for months amid growing speculation that the Ukrainian military was preparing a major counterattack. Ahead of an expected counteroffensive from Ukraine, and more than 14 months after Russian President Vladimir Putin launched a major invasion of his neighbor, there has been a momentous shift in the narrative of how the war-torn country can regain control of its annexed territories. Ukraine still controls parts of the city after months of heavy fighting against regular Russian troops and mercenaries belonging to Wagner's group. Meanwhile, Yevgeny Prigozhin, founder of the paramilitary group, said Wagner units advanced up to 160 meters in several directions, repeating the claim in Telegram that Ukrainian troops now control less than 3 square kilometers of Bakhmut. Video footage shows artillery from the 95th Separate Amphibious Assault Brigade of the Armed Forces of Ukraine destroying an amphibious assault vehicle, an Ural truck, and an SUV with Russian invaders' ammunition in a completely destroyed pine forest. Their operators found targets and adjusted artillery fire on them. The clip was edited from 3 separate episodes. In fact, we are shown the result, the burning of the invaders' destroyed equipment. The Public Relations Service and the Press Service of the Command of the Defense Forces of the Armed Forces of Ukraine reported this on their page on the social network Facebook, publishing a related video recorded by an unmanned aerial vehicle. Ukraine's military vowed on Tuesday not to surrender the eastern town of Bakhmut as it prepares to launch a counteroffensive against Russian troops. General Oleksandr Syrsky, the commander of the Ukrainian ground forces, underlined the importance of holding Bakhmut in preparation for a counterattack, which will hopefully change the dynamics of the war. Russia's military has suffered 100,000 deaths and injuries in the past 5 months in fighting against Ukraine, mostly in the Bakhmut region, according to White House estimates. National Security spokesman John Kirby said the figure, based on U.S. intelligence estimates, included more than 20,000 people killed. Fighters of the 1st and 2nd Battalions of the 3rd Separate Assault Brigade in the Bakhmut direction captured enemy positions on a forest path near the power line pier, destroying Russian paratroopers and mercenaries from Wagner's private military company there. The unit's press service announced this on its own YouTube channel, publishing the 26-minute video. The footage was taken by drones and action cameras on the heads of the fighters. The attack took place with artillery and tank support, but a Western armored fighting vehicle drove close to the enemy positions, fired upon the enemy, and served as cover for our fighters. Meanwhile, Yevgeny Prigozhin, founder of the Russian paramilitary group Wagner Group, said a Ukrainian commander was killed in an attack by his troops near the town of Bakhmut. In an audio message released on Tuesday by the press service of the conquered Prigozhin company, he said his fighters destroyed an armored vehicle in an artillery barrage. Separately, a spokesman for Russia's Southern Battle Group said Russian troops attacked a train station in Kramatorsk with rockets fired from a Tornado multiple rocket launcher and claimed a carriage full of ammunition was destroyed. A Ukrainian commander says his soldiers have pushed back Russian forces in recent days in Bakhmut as the battle for the city of Donetsk continues ahead of an imminent Ukrainian counteroffensive. Ukrainian troops had repelled many attacks on Lyman, and that the enemy's attempts to take our positions were unsuccessful. The enemy suffered losses. We captured 10 enemy soldiers, he said, according to a translation of the comments cited by Ukraine's military media center. Meanwhile, Russia's dwindling ammunition supply has long been known. but to point to the imminent failure just before the counterattack of a major attempt to shift the blame. The point is, the hours before Ukraine's movement dwindled. The amount that is known about emotional states or their targets is almost zero, and the level of internal Russian indecision, rivalry and division is growing. The General Staff of the Ukrainian Armed Forces reported on May 4 that Russia had lost 192,590 troops in Ukraine since the start of its full-scale invasion on February 24 last year. This number includes the 650 casualties suffered by Russian forces over the past few days. The Ukrainian Air Force reported that Russian troops launched up to 24 Shed attack drones from the Bryansk region and the eastern coast of the Sea of Azov in the early hours of 4 May. 18 drones were shot down by Ukrainian air defenses in northern, central, and southern Ukraine. Russian troops attacked Kyiv using drones and Shade missiles, probably of the ballistic type. According to preliminary information, all air targets were destroyed in Kyiv airspace, according to the city administration. Moreover, Ukraine has been preparing for a major counteroffensive against Russian troops in the spring for months, pressing its Western allies to send ammunition and weapons for the purpose. While the details of the attack are still unclear, it is likely to occur as early as mid-May or early June. Earlier on Friday, Russia launched 23 missiles targeting several cities in Ukraine, killing scores of people in the first major airstrike launched by Moscow in weeks. Meanwhile, Ukrainian presidential advisor Mikhailo Podolyak said on Ukrainian television that Russia had again deliberately targeted residential areas with missile strikes. This can be a tactic to try and provoke a hasty counterattack, Podolyak said. The latest missile strike was also meant to test whether Ukraine is capable of protecting its own airspace, he said. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg said on Thursday that more than 98% of the combat vehicles promised to Ukraine had been delivered, including more than 1,550 armored vehicles, 230 tanks, and large quantities of ammunition. The Ukrainian government has faced some criticism for its decision to continue fighting the city, sending reinforcements to the area despite heavy losses, and repeating Ukrainian Western assertions that Bakhmut was of little strategic value.